Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Morris here and
Kate McDowell.
And we are coming to you live from a retirement home actually in Burlington. We just had a little meetup with some people talking about ketones and ketosis, and we did some body composition analyses so that people could measure their actual body fat, muscle mass, and see what they're made up of other than just weight on the scale. So we did that. But we thought now that everybody's gone that we just come live and kind of go over some of the stuff that we explain to people as we're educating and just trying to spread the word about the benefits of ketones and ketosis. So, Kate, maybe what we'll do first, actually, we're just totally winging it. Maybe what we'll do first is kind of share with you a little bit about the definitions of what ketones and ketosis is all about, and then we'll kind of get into some of the benefits. So, ketones. How many types of ketones are there, Kate?
There's 3. They're beta-hydroxybutyrate is the main one that your body uses for energy. Acetone. And what's the other one?
Acetoacetate.
Acetoacetate,
Yeah.
both of which are, the acetone and the acetoacetate are both expelled as a waste product. It's the beta-hydroxybutyrate is the main one we need to talk about.
Yeah, and there's some evidence to show that acetoacetate is actually used, but anyway, so ketones are a natural byproduct of fat metabolism that happens when your liver starts to burn or oxidize your own body fat or the fat that you're eating, and the fatty acids get converted into those 3 types of ketones. So it's a natural process that occurs in the human body, and it's something that our ancestors would have had more ketones present than we normally have today, just because of the nature of the food that we're eating and the concentration of carbohydrates in our diet. So most people, if you talk to the average person, or if you do like a survey of what people are actually eating out there, it's something like more than 50 to 60% of the calories that we are consuming as a society in general are coming from carbohydrates. When that happens, we actually never get ketones in our body. It's actually impossible. The only way that it's being made possible is by drinking our pure therapeutic ketones from Pruvit. So ketosis, do you want to define ketosis?
Ketosis is just having an elevated level of ketones in your blood. So between 0.5 and 7 millimolars of ketones in your blood.
Per liter, if you want to get technical. And you can measure that with something called a ketone blood monitor. And this is similar to like measuring your ketones or measuring your glucose. Like if you're a diabetic and you've ever measured your sugar, hopefully you have. This is a similar test. It's basically like you prick your finger and you put it in the little machine, and the machine tells you exactly how many millimolars per liter, if you're using the metric units, you have in your blood. Do not confuse ketosis with ketoacidosis. This is a much, much, much higher level of ketones in your blood, and having this level of ketones, so 0.5 to about 7 millimolars of ketones in your blood, specifically beta-hydroxybutyrate, this is a benefit. We're going to go through the benefits of why you want ketones in your body in a minute. A lot of people, and I had this discussion yesterday with a few individuals at another event we were at the Festivus Games, specifically at CrossFit Connection. A lot of people misunderstand the difference between ketosis and ketogenesis. Do you want to attempt it? Kate's going to attempt to explain it. I'm going to drink my ketones.
Ketogenesis is the actual process of converting body fat into ketones. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So a lot of people think that when they're in ketosis, this means that they're burning fat. But this is actually because of drinking ketones, exogenous ketones specifically from Pruvit. This definition has actually changed, and this is where a lot of people get confused. Drinking ketones does not directly make you burn fat. If anybody ever tells you that, go and find somebody else, because that person doesn't understand how ketones, drinking them, actually work. It's really all about getting your body into a state of ketosis. So ketones are basically an energy source, and they're like literally, I want to just kind of do this because I think what's important to understand, ketones are the exact opposite of glucose. And I say that just simply because if you go and Google glucose and inflammation, glucose and Alzheimer's, glucose and diabetes, glucose and give me a problem, a disease, anything.
MS, anything.
Any kind of metabolic issue, glucose tends to be, it's usually like a metabolic issue going on. Cancer, another good one. Ketones are like exactly the opposite of that. They don't cause any of those problems. I'm not saying that they cure any of those problems, but they certainly don't cause them. And I think something that's super important to recognize is that our society has not really, or our society recently has, you know, when I say recently, like last couple hundred years, our sugar and glucose consumption has steadily risen over the years, and to the point where now, like I mentioned earlier, more than 50% of our calories are being consumed from carbohydrates, which basically convert into glucose. And this is part of the reason why we as a society tend to be overweight, tend to have health problems. I'm not saying that drinking ketones is going to cure any of those issues. The reason that we're seeing so many people change their lives and feel better is because we are, as humans, physiologically designed to have ketones present in our body more often than not. So being in a state of ketosis, i.e. having ketones present and burning our own body fat, is a natural state. Most people, because more than 50% of our calories are coming from carbohydrates and therefore glucose, never ever get the benefit of being in ketosis, because it's actually before the invention of, it's so wonky with the camera backwards, most people before the introduction of exogenous ketones from the outside could never get ketones in their body, because it will never happen if you're always eating carbohydrates. So I just want to make that clear. So ketosis is a natural state. Glycolysis, which is the state of having glucose present, is the opposite of that. But now we can actually have the benefit of having both ketones and glucose present, and we can run off of both energy systems, because that's what our bodies can do. So it's pretty cool. Let's talk about why you want ketones in your body. What would be the first thing, do you think? What's the first thing that most people notice when they are in ketosis?
Better energy.
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason, guys, for that, energy, who doesn't need more energy? I need more energy, but that's why I drink ketones. I have tons of energy, sometimes so much I don't know what to do with it. So better energy is, the reason that we get better energy is because ketones are a much more efficient molecule when it comes to producing human energy currency, which is ATP. You want to write ATP anywhere? I don't care. ATP, guys, for those biochemists in the crowd, stands for adenosine triphosphate. And think of this as human energy currency. Right now, I'm producing ATP, Kate's producing ATP, you're producing ATP, we're all producing ATP, and we could probably survive for about a microsecond if we were not producing ATP. So we're always doing this, and this is happening in, you all have heard probably, this is going to remind you of your high school biochem days or biology days, the mitochondria. Your mitochondria is known as the
powerhouse for your cells.
The powerhouse of your cells, right? It's like the energy factory, and we have literally billions of mitochondria in our bodies inside all of our cells. And these little mitochondria are where this magic ATP is produced. It's produced and then it's used and it's gone. It's this constant thing that's happening. We know they have actually measured this, not me, not Kate, but the scientists and people, well, I'm a scientist, but people in the lab have actually been able to measure the difference between ketone metabolism and glucose metabolism. And we know that beta hydroxybutyrate enters into what's called the Krebs cycle, or the tricarboxylic acid cycle, at a different place in the actual mechanism from glucose, and is therefore more efficient at producing ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, for energy. In fact, let's write this down. 30% more energy, or ATP, from ketone metabolism compared to glucose metabolism. Okay? That is happening using 25% less oxygen. So I want you guys to think about this. If I can consume something that will make me produce 30% more ATP using less oxygen, how do you think I'm going to feel? I'm going to feel freaking awesome is how I'm going to feel. So this has some massive implications. For me as an athlete, it's made such a big difference. It makes a huge difference for people who just generally feel unwell and don't have energy, because suddenly they're able to get up off the couch. They're able to start moving around more than they did before. What was the difference you noticed in energy when you started drinking ketones?
I was dealing with some pretty crazy chronic fatigue when I started. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to make plans with my friends or my parents or my family, because I didn't know that I was going to have enough energy to get through an activity or how I was going to feel that day. So yeah, energy was huge. That was one of the biggest things for me when I started drinking.
And guys, just so you understand, like, Kate, can I tell them a little bit about you? Kate has multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease. And, if you know anybody with MS, they're generally like, when I first met Kate, how long?
2 years?
It's almost 2 years ago. More than 2 years ago when I first met Kate, she was, she's an awesome person, but she was very kind of sluggish, and you could tell that when I was having a conversation with you, things weren't really registering, and you were like in a fog. And that was like, I can remember the day that Kate came. There's a wolf running across the road.
That happens here all the time.
Holy shit. Sorry. We're in the middle of Burlington and there's a wolf running across New Street. Anyway, so when Kate came to me, how long did it take for you to notice energy?
A couple weeks. It wasn't long at all.
Yeah. And she was like, Jen, like, the brain fog is gone. I feel like I can talk again. And her words, she became more articulate. I realized, like, holy shit, this is a really smart, intelligent woman here. And it was so, like, amazing, her transformation, to see, basically she was kind of locked in her brain. And the words weren't coming out of her mouth.
It's an understatement. Yeah.
And like, she would have never come on and done a live video before.
No chance.
I know the words are still locked in because you're nervous when you go on camera. So you guys, if you think, there's a wolf. Okay.
Okay then.
Anyway. Squirrel. Yeah, they're crazy. So, that's kind of one thing from an energy brain fuel thing that's happening, because we know our brains are over 60% fat, and they prefer ketones for energy. In fact, the aging brain, and you can look up Dr. Cunnane, Cunnane. He has actually shown this in, what they've done is they've radio-labeled ketones, and they've radio-labeled, like with radioactive isotopes, radio-labeled glucose, and they show on scans the brain and its ability to uptake glucose versus ketones. And they've shown that in an aging brain or an Alzheimer's brain, that the ketones actually light up the brain, whereas glucose does nothing. And, in patients or people that have had any kind of head injury, they're finding the same thing. So, in MS, like, there's a lot of inflammation going on in all autoimmune conditions. So this is like one of the reasons why Kate is Kate today, right? And why she's back to her normal self, or the way she should be, which is really awesome. So anyway, energy is a huge one. I noticed, like, literally within an hour of drinking ketones, like, I felt better. My brain fog was gone. I was able to focus. Mental focus is a huge thing for people. And that's kind of related to the energy as well. Then we also, have more energy physically as well. So what I typically find with people is that they start drinking ketones, and like within a week or so, people are like, okay, I need to do something. Generally people will message me and be like, oh my God, I cleaned my whole house, or I raked the garden of the leaves and I still had all this energy left. And, yesterday, Kate and myself, we were on our feet all day long at the Festivus Games at CrossFit Connection. It was like over 12 hours that we were literally go, go, go. Kate was actually, you want to tell them about the reboot? The 60-hour fast?
Sure. We have a program now. It's the Keto Reboot. It's a 60-hour, it's not a fast because you are consuming calories from ketones and ketone supplement products during it. But yeah, for 60 hours, you drink water, you drink ketones, you drink a keto bone broth that we have, and then you also drink a tea. The tea is a lifesaver if you don't sleep well at night, especially while you're fasting. So yesterday was day 2 of my 60-hour keto reboot, and it was it was a long day, on my feet all day long. I'm a photographer as well, so I did not sit down, did not stop, drank some ketones from time to time, but that's about all the time I had to take a break, and thank God for ketones.
Yeah. So there's the way the reboot works, guys, just going on a tangent here while we're talking about it, is Kate decided to do it earlier. Why did you decide to do it earlier?
Just scheduling it fit better.
Right. So normally, and I'm starting the keto reboot tonight, actually. It's the 14th, and we start at about 9 o'clock tonight. So I actually have intermittent fasted. I haven't eaten anything today except a bulletproof coffee from Tamp Coffee down the road, my favorite coffee shop. Hi, Jimmy, if you're watching. I've been drinking my ketones, and I've had some water. We're probably going to go grab some food after this, and then I'll have a light dinner, and then I'm going to start the 60-hour fast. And there's over 70,000 people now in the world doing the keto reboot, and we do this as a community. Kate was very brave to go and do this on her own. I like to have the support of the community. It helps keep me accountable. You did it for scheduling reasons this time, but normally you're doing it with the group, because it really is nice to know that there's like a whole bunch of people out there, 70,000 of them, also going through what you're going through, and that when you are like tempted to stop, you're probably going to be looking in that group. We have a huge support group for kind of that like morale support to keep going, because it's not an easy thing to do, and depending what's going on in your life, like it can be difficult to maintain, which is why we have the support group. It will be my 21st 60-hour reboot. I so look forward to these every single month, guys. I've had a rough, very busy month. I got sick. I haven't been sick in like 2 years since drinking ketones. Literally, I was burning the candle at both ends. Totally my fault. High-fiving lots of people who were probably sick. So I picked up something. And so I'm just looking forward to rebooting my system from an immune system standpoint, and really just allowing my digestion to rest, because I really didn't eat very well while I was away. No access to really good food or anything. So to be able to have that opportunity to just reset my body and digestion and immune system is like going to be hopefully make me feel better on the other side. So that's why I'm going to look forward to rebooting this time. What other benefits from ketones? I think let's talk about fat loss, because a lot of people will see, so fat loss is definitely a benefit, a side benefit of drinking ketones. And I think it's the best way to understand it is that it's related to appetite suppression. And appetite suppression is a huge thing, because most people tend to have tons of cravings. If you know anything about sugar or glucose metabolism, what you'll find is that, and you've probably experienced this, like you go and you eat a cupcake or some kind of sugary food, and then it satisfies your hunger for You can't. Well, you're not writing backwards, so.
Good.
So it satisfies your hunger for a brief period of time, and you have a burst of energy, and then boom, you crash. And that's, we've all probably experienced the carb coma, or used those terms, where you feel sluggish, generally within an hour of after eating something with a lot of sugar or glucose in it. And that, that's kind of like this vicious cycle that goes on. Like, you're hungry, you eat something sugary, you crash. You're hungry, you eat something sugary, you feel fine, you crash. And that's what's happening, is you're increasing your blood sugar, and then insulin, which is a storage hormone, comes along, and it has to lower your blood sugar or you die. And then all of that excess energy gets stored as fat. So when you have ketones present, your appetite and your desire for those sugary foods basically goes away. And the reason is that it's basically keeping your blood sugar stable. There's no increase in blood sugar, obviously, when you have ketones present, and therefore your insulin doesn't come up, and therefore you're not storing fat. So by the very nature of just having ketones present, you're suppressing your appetite for that excess glucose, and therefore you're just not storing any excess body fat. And we know there's evidence to show that once you have ketones present in your body, that your mitochondria prefer them for energy, because reactive oxygen species, ROSs, Google that shit. We do not produce any negative waste products when we have ketones for energy. When we're going through this process of producing 30% more energy using less oxygen, we're not producing what are called ROSs, or reactive oxygen species. This is huge, guys. There's no negative byproducts of ketone metabolism, but from glucose metabolism, there's a lot. So super, super important from a health perspective. And when you have all that energy and your appetite is suppressed and your body starts to understand, or I guess the best way to explain it is your mitochondria want ketones for energy. They prefer it for energy. And this creates a demand for more ketones for energy, which will come eventually from your own body fat. Does that explain it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Also, we do, a lot of people talk about caloric restriction. And that definitely plays a role, but it's not the only reason that people lose body fat. It's one of the reasons that people lose body fat, because when your appetite is suppressed, you're obviously not going to be eating as many calories. However, like I said, it's only part of the equation there, because the hormonal response to the foods you're eating is equally, if not more important, down the road, especially from a health perspective. So keep that in mind. It's not all about calories. It's about how much ATP is actually being produced from the calories you are consuming, and what is happening to your blood sugar and your insulin, which is the major storage hormone, when you're in ketosis or not. So hopefully that makes sense. Sleep. Yeah, so sleep. I mean, you've struggled with sleep. I've struggled with sleep. Maybe tell us a little bit about your sleep experiences.
I just don't, or I never used to. I just had a really hard time with sleep. I fall asleep, no problem. I can fall asleep anywhere. I can fall asleep almost standing up at night, and then I wake up at stupid times in the morning, and I can't shut my mind off. And yeah, ketones has helped with that. I used to get hot flashes in the middle of the night too. I'm not old enough for that, but apparently it doesn't seem to matter. And yeah, that used to disrupt my sleep as well. And since I've started drinking ketones, it took a little bit for me, but I sleep better. I actually sleep until, whatever time, my routine time in the morning. I wake up just before the alarm clock, which is fine. It's better than waking up at 3 a.m. like I used to. But yeah, ketones have helped. Ketocalm
Cool.
has helped.
Yeah, we have the Ketocalm tea for better sleep, but I'll tell you, even so for myself, 2 years ago-ish, when I started drinking ketones, I was having hot flashes, I couldn't sleep, just finding, same thing as Kate, like I could fall asleep and then I'd wake up. I was on sleeping pills, I was on Zopiclone, I was taking melatonin like it was going out of style. I was like doing everything, like spending literally hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on things to help me sleep at night. And literally the first day I drank ketones that night, It was like somebody took the batteries out of the Energizer Bunny and she finally slept for what felt like the first time in my life. And my sleep has been, I'd say, probably between 80 and 90%, which for me is like amazing compared to what it was, 2 years ago. Obviously, sleep is one of those things. If you do have a lot on your mind, if you tend to have anxiety and a lot of stress, I find that definitely is the only thing usually now that will kind of mess up my sleep. But it's so much better than it's ever been. And my hot flashes are pretty much gone, except if I drink wine like I did last night. But, you got to live, right? And that's the other thing, too, is that ketones really have allowed me to be more flexible with my diet and have allowed me to kind of live in the real world. I think that's a huge thing. Like, one point, guys, we've talked quite a long time, or I've talked quite a long time, and that's just because there's so much information. But if you do have questions, Kate or I are here to help you guys. Just reach out to us. The one thing that you need to understand, and this is a big misconception, is you do not need to do a strict ketogenic diet when you're drinking ketones.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that again. You do not N-O-T, need to do a strict ketogenic diet when you're drinking ketones. Should you reduce the processed food? Yeah, everybody should, regardless. It's just not good for you. There's so many things I could say about processed food. Should you eliminate, the foods that have a ton of sugar in them? Yeah, that's just going to be better for you anyway. But here's the thing. If you do eat those things from time to time because it's socially inconvenient to not, or, there's something that's going on, or you have some kind of temptation, drinking ketones is not a free pass by any means to just go crazy and eat whatever the heck you want. No, but it's going to help you control your cravings for those things. So I'm really not tempted by junk food or sugar or anything anymore.
No,
Are you?
No.
I'd say my biggest vice is probably potato chips. And that's generally when I haven't had enough salt in my diet. So that's a huge thing. You want to make sure you keep your electrolytes up. So like pink salt. Or if I just haven't paid attention to my micronutrients, never mind the macronutrients, but the vitamins and minerals. If I haven't eaten enough vegetables, for instance, I notice I crave those salty things. But I definitely don't crave sugar anymore. In fact, last night we were out for dinner and the dessert was on the table and I ordered this gluten-free dessert and I was had a bite and I was meh, not interested. It's really doesn't do anything for me. And I think kind of instinctively too, you're eating this and you kind of know what that sugar is doing to your body and you're just no, don't eat it. It's nice to have a taste of those things, but if I was to do that, if I was to eat, a piece of cake, I'd be out of ketosis literally in 30 seconds, right? If I didn't have ketones present. So that's what's so cool, is that I can have the benefit of having beta hydroxybutyrate or ketones present in my body without necessarily having to worry about if I do taste a piece of cake or have a potato chip or drink a glass of red wine. So that's huge, and it just makes the whole thing so sustainable. And guys, one of the biggest sort of taglines I hear is the diet that works is the diet you stick to. And that is so true. Yeah. You have to find what works for you in your life that you can sustain, right? And you have to understand that shit happens, social events happen, temptation is going to be in front of you. If you were on a strict diet and you ate that thing, you'd probably feel shame. It's going to throw you off. The nice thing with drinking ketones is that when that temptation is there, it's really okay, I'm just going to have a little bit of that, but it's not going to mess you up for forever. Does that make sense? What's your experience being with that?
Yeah, no, I don't crave stuff like I used to. I like Reese's Pieces a lot. And yeah, no, I don't crave that kind of stuff at all anymore. And I find a lot of the times too, when you're trying to stick to a strict diet, and you do end up slipping up or cheating or eating emotionally or for whatever reason, the stress is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And stress is such a crippling effect if you're trying to lose weight to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice to be able to be like, well, okay, so I had that one little cheat, or well, not even cheat, that one little thing that was not what I normally would eat. Well, tomorrow I'll be back on track, and I don't crave stuff, so it makes it easy.
Yeah, it's so cool. So guys, if you're just tuning into this and you didn't catch the beginning of what we were talking about, I encourage you to go back. We went through some of the definitions of what are ketones, what is ketosis, what's the difference between ketosis and ketogenesis. A lot of people get those terms confused. And we talked about energy being one of the biggest benefits of being in ketosis, creating more ATP, 30% more when we have ketones present, without any waste products in the metabolism of ketones, super important. We talked about some of the benefits, the major benefits of having ketones present and why you would want to have ketones in your body all the time. It's a healthy thing. We talked about the Keto Reboot, which is a 60-hour fast that I personally will be starting tonight. Kate just finished hers last night. And then we talked about a little bit about metabolism and what else?
We shared, I think that one of the big things too is we kind of shared our story and how this product affected us from the beginning. And like for Jen, the energy was instant and right away. The better sleep was instant and right away. For me, that stuff took a little bit longer. A lot of the stuff took a little bit longer, but like Jen mentioned, I have MS, so I have other issues that my body is dealing with and has to work through before I start to feel all of the benefits. So I mean, that's kind of a good point because everyone deals with stuff differently and everyone's body's going to react to this differently. And most people will offer you a 10-pack if you're looking to try this. Mm-hmm. You can't expect to change the world in 10 days.
Exactly.
Some people will feel benefits in 10 days. Some people will feel benefits in 2 days. Some people, for me, like to actually start to feel real benefits, it was like 2 months, I think, mm-hmm. before I really started to feel huge changes. And
such a great point.
In terms of like the fat loss, it was 4 months before I was feeling benefits from it. But I mean, I was at the point where I had nothing to lose and I had to try something. But yeah, no, you need to be patient, and that's something that I understand, that we're in a society where people expect instant results, and unfortunately that's the way that we're programmed now. But I mean, if you want lasting results and something that's sustainable for life and something that you're not going to just sort of, it's a quick fix and then all of a sudden, well, it's not working for me.
One drink a day, guys. That's really all it takes. One drink per day, and for one full year, if not more, I literally I just drank the oldest version of the product, the chocolate swirl, which nobody likes because the taste of it was so crappy. But I like it too. I really like it. But we have so many amazing flavors of ketones now that you can drink, and you can get varieties. And I love the point that Kate made. Everybody wants instant fixes. It's so, think about the length of time it took you to get to where you are, wherever that is right now, whether it's, you've put on weight or you're feeling crappy or you have something going on with you. It took time. You just didn't, instantaneously get fat overnight, right? It's gradual for most people. It's the same in reverse. I just read a study actually that was talking about people who were trying to lose fat. The longer you've been obese or overweight, the longer it takes for your body to lose that fat. So, guys, if you want to do a strict ketogenic diet, great. If you can sustain it, great. But the majority of people that I work with cannot sustain it. I'd say 99.99% of people out there that say they're doing keto are not actually doing keto when I analyze their food diaries. And drinking one exogenous ketone drink a day from Prove It has been the game changer for so many of these people. I want to talk about one person. Her name is Jessica. Hi, Jessica, if you're watching. She's in London, and she was following the strict ketogenic diet for 4 months, and she lost 40 pounds in 4 months. Great success, nice, steady, fat loss that she was getting. And then she totally plateaued, and she came to the realization, and I think this is important, she came to the realization with an event looming in the horizon that, holy shit, I'm going to be going to this event. There's going to be all this food there that I can't eat and enjoy. How am I going to sustain this for the rest of my life? And the answer is she can't. It's impossible unless you completely like lock yourself in your room and never come out. Like, and that's not living, guys. Like, obviously there are sacrifices to be made if you want to be healthy, but it shouldn't be to that extent, right? We want to live in the real world with everybody else. So when she started drinking ketones, she had this aha moment where she was like, hey, I can follow my diet as closely as I can, drink ketones, and when I get to go to an event, I can go and just like go stress-free. And I love that point. I think that to me makes the whole thing of ketones so sustainable, drinking ketones so sustainable for everybody out there, because it's literally mix them up, drink them in water, and away you go.
Yeah. Agreed.
Did you want to say anything else?
That pretty much sums it up. It's you can live a better version of yourself without, and still enjoy your life.
Exactly.
Which I think is super important. Like, if you want to be better and you want to be healthier and you want to have more energy and more focus and better mood, you want to still do it and be involved in your life and with your family and your friends and not have to hide.
I had stuffing on Thanksgiving. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to not eat my mother's homemade stuffing, right?
That might be trouble.
Because she'll be upset, and I don't want to upset her because she's my mom. But yeah, there's tons of examples we could give you guys. So anyway, we've talked a long time.
Yeah.
But, like, hopefully wherever you're tuning into this, you'll scroll back and get the benefit of learning about all of this from us. I really am passionate, guys, about educating you on having this information about what this is really all about and having a good understanding of it. When you're talking to people about this and you're getting opinions from people, make sure you speak to people who are actually really fully educated in this. Do we promote ketones? Yes, we promote ketones. Do we make money if we sell ketones? Yes, we make money. Like, full disclosure. But honestly, guys, like, I have never done anything in my life for the money at all. It's a nice side benefit of being able to help people move forward in their lives. As a past CrossFit gym owner for like 10 years, and I now own another gym, I don't go and coach people to make money. I coach people to help them move forward in their lives. If I make a little bit of money, well, I have to feed myself. Like, it's, helping people is why I do this, and making money is a side benefit of all of this.
It just allows you to help more people.
Yeah.
Right? That's it's like Tony Robbins would say, making money allows him to help more people. And
exactly.
If this is something that interests you, if it's something that you've tried, if you're interested in maybe helping more people and potentially making some money on the side, this is also an opportunity for that as well. So, you can reach out to either of us for that. And yeah, please, like, if you know people who are interested in this too, interested in the education side of it, or interested in learning more, or talking to people who actually know legit information, share this, please.
Yeah.
Feel free, tag them in this, whatever. We're looking to educate people and help people kind of get a better understanding of ketones and ketosis and how it can help you improve your life.
Cool. I think we've said a lot. So, guys, comment below. Just give us a thumbs up in the comments. Let us know that you've heard this message and say hello. And if you have questions, again, please message Kate McDowell, myself, Jennifer Morris. We will share this video in a few places. Feel free to share it. We're just trying to get education out. You can put whatever you want in your body. We just want you to have the ability to make an informed decision about what you're doing and understand how pure therapeutic ketones from Prove It can really, really help you move forward with whatever your goals are in your life.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to sign off. Enjoy your Sundays. Bye-bye.